In my last video, I was pretty upset. I was pretty upset. You don't see the true colors of people until something like this happens in your life. It's not that I sat there and thought about the day my mom would die or something, but like you just always think that when you're going through something like this and you're going through a hard time in life, your family's going to be there for you no matter what. I tried to be understanding the whole time that everybody's emotions were out of control. But there was just a complete lack of empathy from my family. What did I do to you? What did I do that was so bad that you couldn't at least put the bullshit aside during this time? You grow up a certain way your whole life, and you think that your family is going to always be there for you. For so long, I felt like I couldn't survive without my family. Going through this whole experience and dealing with everything that I dealt with, I realized like I'm a lot stronger than I ever give myself credit for. So, the whole funeral meeting happened and the lady from the funeral home came down. Of everybody there, I think my heart went out the most to my grandmother. She just looked like she was in shock. She wouldn't leave my mom's side. She just sat right next to her and just kept going, "That's my baby. That's my baby. Your kids are supposed to outlive you." Why didn't they tell my grandmother? She was in shock. So it was around 7 o'clock at night. I'm in the room. It was me, my cousin Nico, my brother sitting on the opposite side of the bed from us. It was nice, having the whole room to ourselves. Everybody else was in the waiting room at that time. They might have been getting dinner or whatever. And all of a sudden, my brother stands up and he's like, "I'm going to go home for a little while." I'm like, all right. Thinking in my head, maybe he has to take a shit or something. Who knows? My brother had a tendency of doing shit like this throughout his whole life. He doesn't know when to shut up sometimes. So he goes, "I got to check in. There's a party going on at my house right now." Excuse me? What? Did you just say there's a party going on at your house? Or am I fucking hearing things? A party? You're having a party at your house right now? I could have sworn I heard that. And he's like, "Satan's friend asked if she could use our house for her sister's 50th birthday. We couldn't cancel it." And I'm thinking in my head, dude, shut up. Stop talking. Here. Put the shovel down, bro. So he tells us that he's like, "Oh, I couldn't cancel it, because we invited everybody on Facebook. It's impossible to cancel it." Like, dude, why can't your wife just be home, entertain her friends? You're leaving the hospital knowing that your mom's gonna die any minute now and go to a fucking party? He's like, "Oh, it was impossible. We couldn't cancel it. We invited everybody on Facebook." And I'm thinking, well, fuck. That makes it a lot easier in my eyes. That would make it a lot easier to cancel it. All you have to do is just send out a mass message to all the people you invited on Facebook. I couldn't believe it. Once again, you're leaving the hospital now to go to a fucking party. Holy shit. Can't make this shit up. If I was my brother, like, dude, my brother did not talk to my mom. I know I've said this a million times, but my brother did not have a good relationship with my mom for the last 3 years of her life. Like, if I was in your shoes, I would be wanting to spend every second I could with her. I don't know where his head was at. I really don't. And I know some people make excuses and be like, "Well, certain people can't deal with things." No, I don't buy that. When my dad was dying, he was there. Once you've gone through this once in your life and you've watched somebody go through this, it's kind of familiar. I was just like, wow, you're going to leave and go to a party. The only thing I could compare my brother's relationship with his wife, it's almost like when you lose somebody to drugs. You're watching somebody completely fuck up their lives and you know that they're going to have regrets. You got to just sit back and love them from afar. I know there's going to come a day where he's going to regret all of this. I kind of felt bad for him at that time. Anyway, so he leaves. He goes up to goes home to his party where Satan was already there. She left the hospital shortly after I told her to get the fuck out of here. Bitch. It was getting late. Everybody hung out for a little while, right? He didn't come back until 11 o'clock at night. My family kind of slowly started to trickle out and everybody started to leave. So it's getting late now. I go home. I get changed. And I come right back up to the hospital. I mean, I was probably gone for about 20 minutes at the most. I got back to the hospital and everybody was gone at that point in time except my brother. He was the only one sitting in the room. And I remember just walking in and he was looking at his phone and like it was so weird. It was like I walked in and when he saw me, he kind of like put his phone away and I'm like, as soon as I got there, he was like, all right, I'm going to go home now, you know? So I'm like, all right. My mom's condition, the closer somebody gets to death, the scarier they look. That vision of her in the bed is something that was just haunted me. It's a horrible thing to remember. So I sat in the room for a little bit. I mean, like, I had to go now another night all by myself. I mean, it was scary. Thank God, the one saving grace, my friend was a nurse up at the hospital and actually worked on the unit that my mom was on. And the whole time we were there, she was never actually like assigned to my mom's room, but she would always come in and check on her, make sure she was okay, and she would help her. That night, she wasn't supposed to work. She came in because she was covering for somebody else's shift, and it just so happened that the nurse she was covering for was the one that was assigned to my mom's room that night. Just thank God. It's amazing the way things work out. So I remember everybody left and she came in the room and she goes, while you were gone, I walked in here and she's like, your brother was bawling his eyes out. Hearing that kind of gave me a sense of relief. I said, good. I was glad to hear that. I really did start to wonder, does he have a heart? Does he have a soul? Does he even give a shit about anybody but himself? My brother and I were always so close and we were always there for each other. I just can't explain how fucked up this was. It's like there's this wall there. I'm banging on it and I'm screaming his name, but he doesn't see me. We should be there for each other, man. We are all each other has left. It's really scary how much control his wife has over him, even in a situation like this. Disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. I really thought in my heart of hearts, when something serious like this happened, we would be there for each other. In my head, that's the way we grew up, and that's the way we both think. Dude, this girl has completely changed him. He's just not the same person anymore. We couldn't be there for each other. I couldn't be there for him. He couldn't be there for me. I don't know if I could ever forgive him for what he put my mom through. So he gets up and leaves. So anyway, I'm in the room now. My friend and I are discussing that, you know, she looks peaceful. And we're sitting there talking. And another nurse came in the room at that point, and we're looking at my mom, and dude, I mean, she was a mess. Her arms were so bruised up. It looked like she got her ass beat. Like she had like all black and blues and bruises all over her arm. Every time they had to stick her with a needle, and then the dialysis, and there was blood all over her pajamas. She was in really bad shape. So my friend's like, listen, maybe we should change her and put some clean pajamas on her. And I'm like, yeah, it's a good idea, you know? So my girlfriend, Mary, turns to me and she's like, listen, Leanna, she's like, I don't think you're going to want to be in here for this. When somebody's in this condition, it could be a little distressing to watch. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take a walk, you know? So I remember going downstairs on the elevator and going outside. And when I got out there, it just started downpouring. And I'm standing under this overhang and I'm smoking a cigarette. The wind just like picked up and like all of a sudden I see this wheelchair flying across the road and it smashes into the curb. And it was so weird, you know, that this big storm came. It was all windy and the rain was coming down sideways and I'm just standing there watching it. And I remember just thinking like the sky was opening up to come take my mom. This is the end. It was like the earth was pissed off. Why are we losing this amazing person? I'm not really religious to begin with, but when you go through something like this, you really start to question your faith in God. You're like, why would God make somebody suffer the way my mom suffered? Why did she have to go through all of that? It just doesn't make sense. What I went through and this whole story I've told you guys is absolutely nothing in comparison to what my mom went through. She suffered in every way, shape, and form. Might have smoked like 2 or 3 cigarettes out there. And I go back upstairs and I walk in the room and, they're finishing up and the nurses leave and they're like, we'll be back. There was one time when I was in the room a couple of days prior where she had told me that she saw my dad. Just in case people don't know this, that's a common thing that happens when somebody's dying. They'll start to see loved ones that have passed away. So with that in mind, a couple of days prior, I had been at my mom's house and I went in her room and I wanted to grab this necklace that she wore all the time. After my dad passed away, my mom took their wedding band and she had it bent into a heart. And I'll show you guys a picture of it. But my mom wore that necklace almost every day. I was like, maybe this will bring her comfort to know that he's with her. So I looked all over her room, everywhere, and I couldn't find it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to grab her wedding band, and I grabbed this. When my dad passed away, me and my mom ordered these online. On the back, I don't think you guys are going to be able to see it. Mine says Dad, and my mom's says Johnny. And it has the date that he passed away. I couldn't find this necklace anywhere and I was freaking out thinking, did my brother steal it? What happened to this necklace, Because my mom wore it all the time. So I grabbed this. After the nurses and everything changed her, she was kind of like, I want to say awake, but she wasn't sleeping either. She was kind of just laying in the bed. Her head was turned to the side and one eye was kind of open. I could tell she was aware. She was pressing the button. They had put her back on the morphine, the pain pump. And so like the fact that she was able to press the button, I know she was aware. And so I thought in my head, this is a good time to talk to her because they kind of woke her up. I walked over to my bag and I grabbed this and I put it in her hand. And I said, Ma, I want you to have this. And I said, this is Daddy's cross. I said, I know you can't see good right now, but I want you to know that it's Daddy's cross and it's in your hand. I said, he's waiting for you. And it's okay. It's going to be okay. And then after that, the words just came out so naturally. I told her she was the most amazing mother on the planet. She was the best grandmother. If I'm even half as good a mother to my son as you were to me, I'll be okay. One thing my mom always used to do was she would compare herself to her sisters. And she always used to say, I'm the ugly sister. And I wanted her to know that night. Something that my mom always taught me through life was that it's really what's on the inside that counts. And she would say things to me like, don't judge a book by its cover. And I'm so thankful for those lessons because I met some amazing people in my life. Because my mom always kept my mind open. It's your heart. That's what matters. And so I told my mom, I said, I know you always compare yourself to your sisters and say that you're the ugly sister, but you are by far the most beautiful because you have the most beautiful heart. So I walked around on the other side of the bed because I wanted her to see me and I knew she couldn't move her head. And I went really close in her and I said, Mom, I'm going to try to fix everything. My mom needed to hear that. I knew the one thing that my mom was most scared about, probably more than dying, was that I was going to be alone. So I looked at her eyes and I was like, Mom, I promise you, I'm going to fix everything. Her one eye was open and the other one opened up. And she kind of cut me off while I was talking. Like she makes like a noise. And I'm like, what? And she does it again. And I said, did you just say I love you? And she's like, yes. very low yes came out. And then she just kept saying it over and over and over and over again until her voice just wouldn't come out anymore. And I saw her lips moving. You know, I needed to hear that. Like, we didn't say that in my house. We didn't say I love you, you know? But during those last couple of years where everything was a little fucked up with my brother, my mom, like, when she talked to him, she would always hang up the phone with him and be like, I love you. It hurt me, you know, because she never said it to me. And I'd be like, why do you say that to him? And I realized it was because my mom knew that she didn't need to tell me that all the time, because I was always there for her, no matter what. And she was scared of losing him, so she felt like, I guess, she had to remind him that she loved him, no matter what. You are a lucky fucking motherfucker. You really need to realize how fucking lucky you are to have her as your mother. The way you treated her in the last 3 years of her life, I think a lot of moms would have gave up. My mom never gave up, you know, and I told her that. You persevere and do, no matter what you do in life, you put everything into it, whether it's being a mom or a wife, a worker, you put your all into it. It is so hard to let go of somebody you love. It's so hard. But I needed to hear those words that night, and I watched the tears coming out of her eyes, and then I told her I loved her too, and then it was kind of like right after that, she just like went limp, like relaxed, you know? I think she needed to hear those things. I think she needed to be assured that I was going to be okay. It was a really intense moment. And then after that, she went back to sleep. It was so scary looking at her in that condition by myself. I just never thought this would go this way. I never thought in a million years.